He has time.
He's
Off
got
the
him.
left side. Dobbs is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I guess mostly good morning, YouTube. I don't know if we're on Facebook because, well, Facebook is broken.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of outages that are reported about it, like 300 and something thousand. So most people, most people I don't think are going to be able to watch this till after.
Well, it's posting because the auto comments on Facebook posted. So StreamYard's working, their account's working. No one else is. But hey, if you're on YouTube, drop us a line. Let us know. If you're actually on Facebook, drop us a line. Let us know you're here. This morning for the last hour or 45 minutes, we've been trying to get in. Facebook Messenger, leave it to Facebook to make it so screwy that they killed Facebook. I mean, no one can get in, because they want to make you have stronger security. Like, dude, I've had Facebook for almost 20 years. It's been fine. I've never been hacked, but keep trying to protect stupid people, and then you break it for everyone else, I guess.
Yep.
But speaking of stupid people, let's just jump into some football. I was going to start with good news, but let's go with stupidity.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's been informed by the Broncos that they'll be releasing him, and in doing so, they will take on a 2024 dead cap hit of $35.4 million, and a 2024 was the first one, and then 2025 dead cap hit of $49.6 million.
$85 million in dead cap, the largest in NFL history.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
it's a bad relationship with the guy, the organization, the head coach, the players, when they are willing to eat that much money just to get him shipped out of town.
So hey, this brings up a question, Ken. Do the team, the state that you reside, cut their quarterback, eat that dead cap money, and sign Russ?
I have heard rumblings about it. Me personally, I would want to get a new quarterback if I was them, and talking to some of them that I've heard is that they do want to draft the quarterback, but anything instead of Danny Dimes, I think New Yorkers will be happy with. I don't think that the happy feeling's going to last long, but
So Danny Dimes. All right, we're gonna try something with just being the two of us. Check this out. I'm gonna pull this up. Let me see here. There it is. Yep. All right, you seen that?
yeah, I see it.
His dead cap is massive.
Yeah, holy shit.
So his dead cap, this is from Spotrac, 70 mil.
That's nuts.
Actually, and that goes to, he's got dead cap that would go, let me say it's 70, so we're what, 92? Dude, like over 100 million in dead cap if they cut him.
That's
There's
nuts.
a potential out there in 2025. But So that potential. Jesus. If they cut him next year, it's only 22 million. That sounds so bad. So maybe you don't cut him. Maybe you just sign Russ with him. Right? Maybe
See,
maybe that's the answer.
yeah, I don't think that. I think if it comes to that they'd keep him and let him be the punching bag for the year for the new guy, because you're not going to want to pay him all that kind of money for him just to be keeping the bench cozy.
Ooh, that is deep. I love this. Let me just pause again, just to giggle. Trying to get on my phone. Then when I go, it gets me in the Facebook, it tells me there's no internet. Well, obviously there is talk. Then it
Yep.
tells me I have to run to check, and then it sends me into an endless loop of logging in.
Yep.
Now unable to log in. So Facebook, congratulations, you broke yourself. You're broken. Go fix yourself, Facebook. Luckily we're still doing the show. It's going to be on YouTube. People can watch it there, and it's probably on Facebook because it looks like it's streaming to Facebook. So you can only do what you can do, guys. Yeah. So that was the first step. First news. Let's get back to it. I'm sorry for the distraction with Russ. Where do you think Russ goes? Is it easier to eliminate teams or to just say, "Here's what we think"?
I think it'd be easier to go with what we think because I don't think anybody's 100% eliminated from him.
So
Well,
where do
besides
you
the
think
Steelers, they came out and said that they don't want him.
they're out? They're out.
And I could see New England, honestly.
New England. Really?
Yeah.
Why New England?
Because they got the new coach, that they'll be getting a new quarterback, and hopefully they'll be smart enough to sit him for a year.
Yeah, but you're drafted in the top 3, so they can get one
Well,
of those
I was
generational quarterbacks.
yeah. You're telling me a generational quarterback isn't going to be better if he's sitting there on the bench getting the game spoon fed to him instead of getting lit on fire with gasoline?
Breaking news: Giants will not tag Saquon.
Yeah, I knew that one was coming. That's what the word has been on them.
Yep, they released that 10 minutes ago. Wow. Brian Burns was tagged by the Panthers, so sorry, Bears fans. We won't be trying to sign him. I know a couple Bears fans we're looking at Brian Burns as an edge.
I think that's highly intelligent on Carolina's part.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, with Young, they got to. That's interesting. You thought New England. I mean, I think New England would rather draft like Drake May or Caleb or, they're going to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks because
I could honestly see them trading back.
The Bears aren't taking a quarterback in the first round. I still strongly feel that way. And I think that'll be evident if Poles, like, we'll get into the Poles dealing here in a minute, but Poles does things in bunches. If you've noticed with Poles, he doesn't make a trade, wait 5 days and do something. No, he makes a trade and then 3 or 4 more dominoes fall. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Russ, I don't know, New England. I mean, that's interesting, but at number 3, they can take a quarterback. They don't have to take Russ. Atlanta or Minneapolis, I think.
Maybe Minneapolis. Maybe Minneapolis. I've been here.
Loses out.
Go ahead.
Whoever loses out on the Kirk Cousins race, which is probably Minneapolis, is where Russ goes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That because what I've been hearing, Atlanta prefers Kirk over everybody else.
So, I mean, now look at Atlanta's interesting for Russ, though. I mean, that report came out before Russ was cut. Now that everyone knew, though, they knew it was coming, but these I love these insiders who get these quotes. I'm like, where the hell they get? Well, I get my quote from a source. What source? Well, I'm protecting my source. You mean you made the shit up? Because like today I saw a source. A source says Bears are finalizing plan to sign Caleb. No, they're not. They have to draft the kid. You know, it's just so painfully obvious. And it's like, so with these sources, even Schefter gets it wrong. We've seen Schefter say sources say, and then it was 180 degrees the opposite, right? And Schefter's supposed to be the guy. And he does get inside scoops from people. You know, we know that. But still, I mean, I swear, I think sometimes guys like Shefty are in on the game because, like, think about it. If you're Goody, you're Poles, you're Quezzy, you know, you're like, you go to these guys and say, hey, look, I want you to feed this story, and then I'm going to give you an exclusive on X.
Oh, absolutely. Fucking Ian Rappaport came right out and said it on one of the days on NFL Network there, that they'll put out stuff that's kind of team friendly or specific player friendly because they know that they're going to end up getting the hot tip of it a couple of minutes before they make the release.
You let everyone think I'm drafting Caleb, and then when I'll give you the scoop on the trade. You know, I mean, that's kind of like, but I mean, so Russ though, I mean, yeah, whoever loses out on Kirk Cousins, Tampa Bay is out. They're re-signing Baker. I mean, they don't care. They need to. Tampa's like, okay, we need to stop the carousel. Like, Baker's our guy, is our long-term guy. They know it, so they're fine. I think any team that has a long-term quarterback in place or a plan to draft in the top 5, their quarterback is out. So that's why I say New England's out. That's why I say the Commanders are out. That's why I say, you know, Arizona is out because they like Kyler Murray for some reason. You know that, but New York makes sense if you can get them for basically. Think about it. Even with that, what I showed you on that. Look, if they sign him for league minimum, keep Danny Dimes on the bench, pay him is $35 million plus his signing bonus, plus his workout bonus, plus his restructure, you know, $47 million cap hit, whatever. But next year, you have a potential out where now you're only looking at $22 million in dead cap, right? And Russ is still getting paid. So if you can sign Russ to a cheap 2-year deal, you can let him duke it out next year.
I see where you're going with it. I just don't see how they're going to bring both of them together like that. Even with Russ wanting to take a,
They don't have a choice. The players have to look at the player have to deal. Like, look here, Danny. We're bringing in Russ. He's the starter right now. Do better. Beat him.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, he knows he's getting cut. Because right now, you're better off with the Italian kid who lives with his mom than you are with Danny Dimes. The kid beat the Packers. He beat the Packers last year at a time when the Packers were making a playoff push and they were playing some of their best football. This nobody kid who lives with his mom, grew up in New York, is just a Giants homer fan who happened to be on as a third quarterback, beat the Green Bay Packers when Green Bay was playing some of their best football. So you're better off with him than you are Danny Dimes.
Offensively, we were playing our best football. That game is the one that got Joe Barry fired.
It's not a slam. It's not a slam.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's the Giants. I mean, this kid beat a very good Packers team. Danny Dimes couldn't do it. Danny Dimes is a waste of money. So bring in Russ, league minimum, $2 million a year, whatever it takes, cheap, 2-year deal, and tell Danny, guess what? We'd cut you, but you cost too damn much to cut. So it's cheaper for me. It is literally cheaper for me to keep you on my roster this year than to cut you. It's the only reason you're here.
See, that's why I think it gives them more of a reason to draft a rookie quarterback this year. Because, hey, if he beats out Danny Dimes, great. He's the fucking second coming. You know, this kid's on fire. And if he doesn't, well, we're already paying him, and Daniel Jones is a starter, so here you go.
I mean, I guess it depends on what's left when they get to their pick at where are they at 5,
6.
6 at 6. Yeah, I mean, at 6 they can still get a good quarterback. So, but Russ Atlanta's got to be a hot topic for them. My mini Vegas. I'll tell you what,
I
if you're Vegas, you can steal a division rival quarterback, and of course he's going to know what they're doing because he's going to give you a data dump when he gets there. Your defensive coordinator's like, "Hey Russ, what was your offense last year?" And he's going to give a data dump. And look, at the offense isn't going to change much in Denver, so they're going to get a data dump. So that's part A. Part B, you're taking they're paying for your starting quarterback. Your division rival is paying your starting quarterback's contract for the next 2 years.
mean, I know it's a great storyline. I just personally can't see Russ going to freaking the Raiders. He seems to me almost like the anti-Raider. When you think of a Raider, everything that you don't think of is Russell Wilson.
No, are you kidding? He's been run out of town. He's a bad boy now with Misfit. He fits right into our motif with the Raiders.
He's
Anyway,
he's a weirdo. I wouldn't say he's a bad boy.
I think Facebook may be up. I just did a check. My regular Facebook came up. Let's see if Messenger comes up. Ooh. Who knew you'd be so entertained by the musings of Facebook? But it looks like Facebook just came up. So, Ken, if you want to try to get in, maybe you can send the link to the rest of the panel. I'm sure everyone else is trying to figure out or just gave up. But I mean, so Russ, but Vegas is an interesting. Okay, well, my Facebook is up, but Messenger won't open. But it shows we're live, so that's good. Yeah, we're live, so it's showing, and people are on. So
Think of a Raider. Everything that
yeah, we're live, so it's showing, and people are on. That was the playoff Facebook coming through my phone there. So yeah, okay, so we are live. That's great to know. At least something's working today. But Vegas, I think, is interesting though because of the storylines, but also, hey, Sierra can go get her a gig, man. She can get residency at a hotel. Now Russ and Sierra are getting paid to be in Vegas. So Vegas is going to be an interesting destination. Maybe they get on there. I'm trying to think. There's nowhere else. There aren't many in the AFC West. Vegas is the only destination. In the AFC North, the Steelers are out, so there are no destinations. In the AFC East, there are no destinations for them, right?
yeah.
No, New England.
Well, yeah, New England.
But I think New England's better off drafting too. I mean, actually, it's kind of be a team who doesn't have a chance at drafting one of these quarterbacks. So that kind of gives you Atlanta and Minnie and Vegas are the top 3 because they're the 3 that are furthest out that need a quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cheap.
I could see, I could see Minnesota bringing them in. That honestly seems like it would be a Viking move. And I just don't think Atlanta he's going to end up there. I think it's going to be Cousins most likely from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but that article came out pre-cut. So, but I mean, look at money-wise, Russ is obviously a lot cheaper. I think Cousins might be better, but Russ has some dynamic ability that I don't know. That's going to be a tough call. I could see it going either way. So it's funny. I can't get into Facebook from my web browser, but I can get in it from my phone. I just tried it.
I can't get in on either.
Well, okay. Let's go to some actual news. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk about Russ. This was good news yesterday. I was a little surprised when it came through the feed. The Bears and the Bills made a trade yesterday. We traded our 5th round pick for Ryan Bates. He's entering the 3rd year of a 4-year contract, and I can tell you more about that contract in a minute because it's very interesting. So the interesting about Bates is, so he's a center, undrafted free agent rookie. He got picked up, I believe it was by Cincinnati. they later cut him. He's picked up by the Bills. So 4 years ago, or in 2022, Ryan Poles tried to sign the kid on an offer sheet. The Bills matched it, said, nope, we want to keep him. And they did. So the contract that he's on right now is the contract that Poles offered him 2 years ago, which is interesting. And if you look at the what you have in there, I think his cap hit's actually $5 million though. His base is 3.4, but his cap's like 4.5, $5 million. So
Okay.
if you think about it, this is what we were going to spend possibly on a free agent center.
Mhm.
This is his center move, and he burned nothing but he burned some draft capital. But this is about what he was going to spend probably. The best center out there in free agency was going to go for $8 million. The PFF grade on this guy is really good. He's in the green, guys. He's in the green, which is what we need, because last year the Bears pass block, the guards and the tackles were pretty decent, or good actually. The point of weakness in that line was the center position. The center position, if you did a PFF grade color scale, right? And so you have your 5 across, it was green, deep red, yellow/light green, green. The center position was our worst point of contact in that line as far as giving up pressures on Fields and sacks. So that's why we cut all our centers. Said, you guys are trash. You can't stop Jack. Get out of here. And so now we've signed or traded for Bates, who's under contract for 2 years. Now, does this mean the Bears aren't going to draft another center? Well, quite possibly, yes. That could mean that. Because as it stands right now, we have 2 firsts, a third, and 2 fourths, and we're done for the draft. That's it, baby. We're out. Now, are the Bears going to end up with more draft capital? Possibly. I don't want to say absolutely. Possibly. If Ryan Poles gets New England to pay him to take Marvin Harrison Jr., or he gets the Commanders to pay us to take Marvin Harrison Jr., like I've been contending, then yeah, we pick up draft capital this year, probably a second rounder. We'll do the flip. We'll pick up a second rounder this year, a first rounder next year, and maybe a first rounder the year after that, or a second rounder, or some combination thereof at one. So we could have a second rounder maybe based on that. If we get to number 9, and let's say we draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and we get to 9 and Browers is off the board, Alt's off the board, Rome Odunze is on the board. Okay, do we pick him up and have 3 ones? I was a fan of that, but then in talking out with some on Hal's Hall Report this weekend, it was kind of like, well, maybe that's not such a good idea, right? So you could flip that number 9 for someone who wants to jump up to get Rome Odunze, if he's the guy, or Neighbors, or maybe was it Dallas Carter? That's the guy's name, right? The edge rusher. Because let's say we sign a free agent edge rusher. Let's say it's Young, for example, right? So let's say we do that, and so we're not looking to draft an edge. That could be a pick at 9 where you're willing to move back, pick up more draft capital, i.e. another first rounder for next year, maybe another second rounder for this year, maybe a third rounder, whatever, some combination of picks, and pick up more capital and go back in the draft from 9 to whatever, 15, 18, 20, whatever, and pick up draft capital. So there will be more draft capital in Chicago. Now, hey, Joseph, you're on Facebook. We're on. I wish I could get the messenger and send you the link. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to post the link right here for you to hop on. So hold on one second.
Yeah. Tell Nick that this is how we got to do it, because both of our Facebooks are down.
Yeah, most people. Well, Messenger is down. I can get on. Here's the link if you guys want to come on the show today. Hopefully it's posting. So now look, if you're one of those guys who thinks the Bears are going to trade Fields, well then obviously we're going to get draft capital that way, right? I honestly don't think. I think it's the worst return on investment versus I can get more out of trading the first round pick back one than trading Justin Fields right now.
More than man.
Good morning, Eric. So even from a trade perspective, it makes no sense to trade Fields. From a player perspective, I think it makes no sense because look at everyone can say whatever they want to say about Caleb Williams. Kids never played a snap in the NFL. You can't tell me your kids never played a snap in the NFL is automatically better than a guy who's been in the NFL. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, the kid could be good. He could be a bust. I know I'm seeing the things I want to see in Fields. I know Poles is looking at Poles looks at numbers. Hold on 1 second. It's down, but it's up, Bill. It's down for some. It's up. Like it's up on my phone. I can get into Facebook without Messenger. For my computer, I cannot get into Facebook at all.
And I can't get on it either way.
Mine was down too. Like it logged me out, and then it logged me back in, and then I sent a message on Messenger to Ken like, "Hey, let me get a link," but I didn't know if he got it or not. Like Facebook's doing some weird stuff today. They're stealing all your data, dude.
No shit. So it's when you know what it is. It's
hide your bank account.
No shit.
Got a bell.
What happened? So here's the thing. We are live on. Good morning, Bill. We are live on Facebook. We have confirmed that. The problem is this: when they did their Messenger upgrades, remember everyone had to create a pin the other day to make for you to be safer. They jacked it up, so everyone is getting like I got booted. I'm back.
It's all over the news right now that they believe Facebook was hacked because it's Super Tuesday. They believe somebody
I didn't have to create a pin
down right now, and
Super
Fox News is live on YouTube right now, and they said it's just now starting to come back that some people are starting to be able to log in, but 90% of the people aren't, and they're saying that they believe it has something to do with being Super Tuesday.
Well, it is Super Tuesday, but I mean, I've been able to get back in my Facebook now for about 10 minutes now.
Yep.
I can't. No, that's from the phone. But from Messenger, I can't. When I try to get in the Messenger on the phone, I can't. When I try to go on Facebook, I can't. But look, if you're on YouTube, man, you have no problem seeing us. And I know we're live on Facebook because I went on Facebook to our stream, and
we're getting some live comments on Facebook.
Yeah, so it's just one of those days. That was a great press conference, though, wasn't it? The Kelsey press conference, and you know what's great? He talked about his brother being drafted. And all that good stuff too. But the big news yesterday, guys, was really, Russ being cut, which we knew was going to happen. Then today, of course, the first domino in the Russ saga, where Pittsburgh says, we don't want to even talk about Russ. We don't care. Russ is not in our plans. And then the Bears making the trade to get a center. Those are the big. Oh, and then Saquon will not get tagged. We know that now. That's been released because tags are tomorrow. Tomorrow, tags have to be done. And Brian Burns is going to get tagged by the Panthers. So he's going to earn at least $24 million next year under the tag. That's some, these things are going to happen. I would bet, because Ryan Poles doesn't do things solo, that we will see a Jalen Johnson contract today. I will almost bet we will see it today versus tomorrow. And I'll probably be in the neighborhood of $20 million. So that will really leave the Bears looking for an edge and a safety and a wide receiver. And I think the wide receivers come in the draft, one way or the other. Whether you're a Fields guy or a Caleb guy, we're getting a receiver in the draft. This much we know.
You know what I would do? You know what I would do, Ken? I would go find some dude in Chicago. And I would pay him to go on the under down to Tampa. And as Antoine Winfield is sitting at a restaurant, he just walks by and flicks a little Bears card over to him. You know what I mean?
So that'll be interesting. So
it's everywhere he goes, he's in Walmart and the Bears dude is behind him. He's just doesn't say nothing. He's just wearing a Bears t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Everywhere he goes, he sees something Bears.
Everywhere he goes, he sees something.
We start subliminally getting him into the Bears mindset.
Oh, I think it's more than subliminal. I think he would get the message. But what are they going to say? It's it's just a guy wearing a Bears shirt. He's just a Bears fan. You could you could ride that fine line between tampering.
Bears
and not
fans
tampering,
are everywhere. Well, we are everywhere. I mean, Bears fans, we literally are. Everywhere I've ever lived, there's always been Bears fans. Where I live here in Florida, actually, we got a lot of NFC North fans in general. Bears fans, Packers fans. There are a couple Lions fans. No Vikings fans, though. I haven't seen any Viking fans. Lots of Bears fans and some Packer fans, though. Antoine Winfield Jr. would be a good sign for the Bears. We're spending our money on edge. So I think that's funny, too. I mean, if you look what Poles is doing, the trade is obviously spending money, but the bulk of the money he's going to spend is going to be on defense. And he's going to spend his offensive money via the draft. And I think, with Marvin Harrison Jr. being who I think is going to be our top pick, and then at 9, if Browers is there, picking up Browers to go with Kmet would be phenomenal. And then that fills another need, a second tight end. So
it more than fills a need. It fills a need with an all-pro elite type player. Like, I believe Brock Bowers is going to be all-pro by his second year, dude. Like, he's.
Well, you know what?
I really believe that.
And I've been warming up to the idea, Joe, since you kind of brought it up a couple weeks ago, because I looked at it this way: like you just signed Cole Kmet to big money, right? However, if you bring Browers in, you now have no pressure on Browers. Kmet's there. Kmet is a stud. We know this. Everyone knows he is a stud. Kmet is there. Browers doesn't have to have all the pressure his rookie season. He can just play, right? Because in the big downs, it's going to be Kmet, but he can strive and improve, but it's not all on him to be the tight end. He can learn and he can play, and then eventually he can overtake Kmet, which will then make Kmet expendable.
Or Kmet can, be humble about it and just see that the kid is, amazing, and Kmet can stay on the team at a lower salary, and Brock will take over his salary, because that's what I see happening.
They just signed Kmet. Let me pull up Kmet's contract.
Yeah, but you'll have Brock Bowers for 5 years on a rookie contract. So, so Cole Kmet's contract is probably not 5 years, right? And if it is, then it works out perfectly.
He's a free agent. Well, yeah, it's 5 years.
So there you go. Like,
he's got okay.
By the time you got to pay Bowers,
here's the deal. Hold on. Here's the deal. They signed the contract last year, so he's a free agent in 28. This year his cap hit is 11. It's $11.6 million a year cap hit. However, if you sign Brock Bowers, you're not going to cut Kmet this year, obviously, because the dead cap would be 16.3. But if you were to cut him next year, for example, the dead cap is 4.8. If you did it in 2026, it's 3.2. If you did it in 2027, it's 1.6. So he could become a cap casualty from 2025 on in Chicago. Okay. Now, if you get
I wouldn't do
Browers,
that,
though,
is what I'm saying. I wouldn't cut Kmet. What I would do is the whole reason that I said that the Bears should even consider drafting Bowers is because then you could start to run 2 tight end sets like New England did with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. Like, you have 2 receiving threat tight ends, and Brock Bowers, by the way, is also an excellent blocker. So even if you send Kmet out, you could still keep Brock Bowers in to block, and he's like an elite blocker. So that's why I was saying the kid does everything.
I agree with you. He does everything. So, and
He
Kmet
would
does
open up
everything
your
too,
offense
though.
so much.
I think Kmet's a better receiver than he is a blocker, and that could be a situation where Kmet would be bulk of the catching, Brock would be bulk of the blocking, because he might be better. But you definitely look at the contract wise. You got Cole signed already, basically for the next 4 years, and now you have this kid for the next 4 years. And then when you get time for contracts again, Cole's a little bit older. You can probably get him on a much sweeter deal for you. And the other kid is obviously you're going to have to pay. So you'd have to flip the contract, so to speak, pay-wise, right? If Cole is still at that level. So Browers makes a lot of sense for the Bears. And then at 9, though, look at if Browers is off the board, and let's say Dunez is there and you already got Marvin Harrison Jr., you get a wide receiver needy team who wants to move up from, say, 18 or 19 down to 9 to get their guy, and you pull another draft capital haul. And because you can still get a good corner, a good edge, another O lineman, someone at 19, because at that point you're drafting backups anyways if you're the Bears. So if even Dallas Turner, think about it, if he's there at 9 and you've already signed an edge rusher, you're not going to necessarily draft Dallas Turner to be a bench guy, a rotational edge guy, because you just spent
Nah,
13
you could.
million
I
on
like. I
edge.
like what you're talking about. You could trade down to like 18, pick up a guy like
Yeah.
Graham Barton from Duke, like the guard at 20 or 18, and he's a first round talent too. Like he's supposedly the best guard in the draft, Graham Barton.
Yep.
So, and they've got him ranked high up in the first round, like around 20, like mid first round.
You go there, and now if Nate Davis or Tevin Jenkins can't stay healthy, you've got a guy, right? You've got a guy. You've got depth, and you may have you're going to have your future. I met Zach Tom a couple years ago. Great kid, by the way. Happy for him, and he's doing well, even though he's in Green Bay. And I asked Zach, and look at the kid's smart. I said, I asked him, well, what do you think you're going to go in the draft? He said, probably 3rd to 5th round. Okay, and that's where he went, 3rd to 5th round. And I said, well, how long do you think it'd take you to get on the field? He's like, honestly, it takes 2 to 3 years. He's like, it takes 2 to 3 years as an O lineman to get with a line that gels, for you to be consistent where you're an every down guy. And guess what? It took him 2 to 3 years. The kid, he's got it. Now, the ironic part is the one place he didn't want to go because of the weather. That's the only reason he didn't want to go there. Don't get mad, Packer fan. Don't go yelling at Zach Tom saying, Ken the Bear fan who met you in Gulf Breeze when you're at Andrews Institute said this about you. The kid's from Louisiana. All right. He's used to nice weather. And I asked him, where's the one place you don't want to go? And he said, Green Bay because of the weather. It's ironic that that's where he went, but I'm happy he's doing well there. I wish Chicago would have gotten him, but unfortunately Green Bay did. But, so you could get a guy at 20, right, Joe? I can get a guy at 20.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend the 9 money.
No, but if you were, like, let's say Brock Bowers is gone, but Joe Alt is still on the board, or
you take Joe
Talisi Funaga is on the board, like you take one of the top, or the dude from Penn State, the tackle, you take one of the top tackles, it makes a lot of sense. Especially, I think if you're rolling with Justin Fields, you have to add something besides Marvin Harrison, like either offensive line. Your running back situation is pretty decent, but
did you see our move last night?
No, I didn't.
There you go. We have a new center.
Okay.
So interesting thing.
Yeah,
he's got.
I've seen him in Buffalo for a bit now, and he's a damn good lineman. He's not like elite, but he's good.
Well, if he's a serviceable starter, then that's a good move.
Yep.
And this is a guy that this contract he's on right now, believe it or not, you ready for this one? Is the contract Ryan Poles offered him 2 years ago. Poles offered him the contract on an offer sheet, and Buffalo matched it. So that's the Poles offered him.
He's only making $3.4 million. That's not bad for an offensive lineman.
His cap hits 5. It's about 5. It's his cap. So, but it's kind of what he would have spent on a center anyways. So they did take the weakest position on the line and upgrade it yesterday. And I don't disagree with you about, if Joe Alt's there at 9, I think you take him. If it's anyone but Joe Alt, you move back. You save a little bit of money because the money dips significantly once you get out of the top 5 and you start moving back in the draft. And you're right. At 20, you can get a guy. You can get a good guy at 20.
Like Graham Barton.
Yeah.
Or you can get Tyler Guyton, the tackle from Oklahoma. He's no Joe Alt, but he's going to come in and be a serviceable starter at tackle, possibly even a Pro Bowl kind of guy, Like, at least he's projected to be a pretty decent tackle. But I like the idea also of overloading your offense with weapons, though. Like, if you take Marvin Harrison, if the Bears decide that Justin Fields is who they're rolling with, then it sort of gives you clarity as to what you need to do, right? Like, you're going to overload your offense with talent. So you're either going to get a guy like Bowers. Well, yeah, but even what's war gaming? I don't think we're going to draft a quarterback, but let's just say you do. And this is the one thing I missed from the argumentation from all the people go, oh my God, you have to get rid of Fields. You have to take Caleb. He's generationally the best quarterback we've seen in decades, and all the other bullshit argumentation you hear for why Caleb must be the guy. Okay, you draft Caleb Williams. You still have to fix the line. You still have to get weapons. You haven't addressed any of that. All you've done is swap out a really good quarterback for a guy you hope is really good quarterback. And even if you believe that Caleb is a really good quarterback, better than the quarterback you've already got,
you still need to give him weapons. You still need to protect him, right? Well, so
Mhm.
if you draft Caleb, now at 9, you have to take Roma Dunez. You can't trade out. So now in this scenario, the Bears have picked up no draft capital except maybe a second-round pick for Justin. That's it. You've picked up the least amount of capital, and you've added the least amount of weapons or protection to protect Caleb and help Caleb out. Right? I mean, that you see what I'm saying there? Like,
No, I
you
do,
can get-
and I agree with that point of like, you know, there's advantages to keeping Justin Fields in that you could overload your offense with weapons, and you're
Yes.
like you said, you're not going to be able to do that if you take Caleb at number 1. But if the Bears feel that Caleb is that much better than Justin Fields, then it also makes sense. Joe needs a haircut.
Hey, Joe, hold on. Joe, hey, Nick, here's his response to you. Let me do it again. He's slapping you around. Yeah,
Nick's
I mean,
just-
you're right.
Nick's just hoping that Joe cuts his hair so he can glue it to the top of his head.
So, I mean, I think and you think of it this way too, Joe. If you're the Bears, you want to overload, let's say, Fields with weapons, and let's say you can get paid to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 2 or 3, meaning that you trade back and you're getting draft capital for this year and next year, right? Then that gives you more ways to give him more weapons, and then even next year, now you're looking at, let's say you just trade back from 1 to 2 and you pick up, let's say it's a light haul. You pick up a first rounder next year, a second rounder this year, and that's it. Let's say it's the haul. It's a light haul, right? Expectations from the fans won't be met, but whatever. Now this year in the second round, I've got a good high second round pick, which is basically like having a low end first round pick this year, right? Where I could pick up another lineman, I could pick up a running back, I could pick up another center, I could pick up a corner, a safety, whatever I feel I would need to strengthen, right? Next year, now I have two ones again. And then at 9, if I run into that situation where, okay, Browers is off the board, Alt's off the board, I don't need a Dunez, right? So I'm going to trade back to 20 where I can draft a good lineman. And now I pick up another first rounder for next year and maybe another second rounder for this year or a third rounder for this year or whatever. Now I can really overload weapons. And now next year, and let's say this year I roll with Fields and I get through the draft and free agency and I'm an 11-win game. I win 11 games this year. I got all those guys under contract next year. But I got 3 number 1s rolling into that draft.
Yeah. I think also, like, you're talking about Roma Dunze and it would be great if you guys, let's say if you picked Marvin Harrison and then you turn around and you get, if let's say Bowers is gone, I don't think you need Roma Dunze. Like, it would be great. It would be, overkill, but I think you guys would be better off if you traded down to 15 or 16 and take Xavier Worthy, because Xavier Worthy is that burner that you need, that 4-2-1. He's got hands and he's a kick returner and punt returner as well.
You're
so he could be
at the 9 spot, right?
Trading down from 9, you could get him at 15 or 16. He's good. He ran himself into a first round selection with his 40 times.
That's if. No, wait. Are you saying that if you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. or
if you draft Marvin Harrison, I would move down and I would take Xavier Worthy at 15 or 16, not just because he's the fastest receiver in the draft, but he also has hands. He's a really, and he's a smaller guy.
His drop rate was 4.6%, I believe, was his drop rate. I mean, it's a pretty good drop rate.
And he's also a kick returner and punt returner. So you could get a lot of use out of him. He can be because imagine okay, the Raiders did this a few years ago with Henry Ruggs. They would send him deep on most plays, even if they're not throwing it to him, because it automatically, they have to respect speed. So it pulls the safeties back and it opens up the underneath. That's why Hunter Renfrow was able to have such a good part of the reason Hunter Renfrow was having a good season.
I mean, look, we need a slot. We need a 3 guy, right? We need a slot. We need a 3 because Mooney's
gone.
That's
what I'm saying. So if you get Xavier Worthy and you put him in the slot and you send him deep,
I would rather get him early second round if I could. You see what I'm saying?
He's not I kind of like.
He That's might. What I'm we saying. Don't know how.
Nah, he ran him, dude. He ran him because his tape was already good. Like his tape was already that he was a phenomenal playmaker. It was just, is his 40 time and is his testing at the combine going to match his tape? And it more than matched his tape. Like he
So
broke
you
the
think a
record.
team's going to spend a first rounder on that kid?
I do.
Because most
I
people
don't
have him
think he
going in
makes
the
it.
third or fifth.
I don't think he makes it past 20, to be honest with you. Like I
Wow.
think teams are going to see the talent, the speed, and they're going to be thinking the same thing. Like this guy, even if we don't throw him the ball every single play, he's going to be a great decoy that's going to allow a Marvin Harrison to get open over
Right.
the middle of the field, and it's going to make everybody else eat because you have to. How can you not respect 4-2-1, dude? Like you have to.
I mean,
You have to
you know what?
dedicate two
I
guys to
don't
that.
I don't disagree with you. I think that's a way he could do it, because then you're right. Then you'd have Marvin Harrison Jr. So you'd have your X, and you have
And
DJ
DJ
Moore,
Moore.
and then you've got your speed guy who could open up the field for both of them even further. The only thing you'd have to address, the running back situation's okay, but we know the Bears want to carry 3. I don't know if we do that via free agency, if we do that in the draft. But then, if you're picking up second round collateral or second round picks, yeah, you could still get a good lineman, another offensive lineman in the second round for, to rotate. That's actually a good way of thinking. I mean, there's a lot of ways. That's what I'm saying. I think the Bears going with Fields is just a much better option on so many different levels, not just on the field, me personally, but just like what you can grab in draft capital with the ability of being able to, drop back from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. If you get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 2 or 3, now you get draft capital that you can use to get more depth on your offensive line. And then it allows you then to drop back from 9 to, like you said, 15 or 20 and pick up either the speedster at wide receiver to be your third receiver, or another lineman if you go back to 20. It gives you options. And then you still you're picking up more draft capital.
Well, and also think about this. Like, it's not just about overloading Justin Fields with weapons. It's like you want to have weapons that are sort of tailored to his game, right? Like Marvin Harrison is a great possession receiver. Like he's that guy that you're going to throw to on third down because he's got the best hands of any of your receivers, right? But what is the real strength of Justin Fields' game? It's the deep ball. So I think, in my opinion, his best strength is that he throws a really nice deep ball. So
he threw
some really nice deep balls, dude, dimes.
And he threw a dime to Tyler Scott.
Imagine if you have Xavier Worthy getting behind the defense consistently. Justin Fields, you think he's not going to take those shots?
Oh, he's going to take them.
And he's going to take them.
Like, look at the first Lions game, the one we lost. He threw a dime to Tyler Scott, and he dropped it. He dropped.
Xavier Tyler Scott gets not dropping that, though. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He made his living on catching those kind of balls, and he has the speed to separate. Like no corner in the NFL is going to be able to. I think he might even be faster than Tyreek, or at least he's like on the level of Tyreek. 4.21. Like I don't know what Tyreek ran at the
40,
combine.
It wasn't good. His 40 wasn't good, but he is the fastest man on the planet on field at mile per hour. But this kid's probably gonna,
He's probably gonna be close. Put it this way: if he's not as fast as Tyreek, he's at least close to as fast as Tyreek. Imagine adding a weapon like that for Justin Fields, a guy who's almost as fast as Tyreek. Like that's.
I don't know if he throws exactly like Vic, but he's Vic-esque.
Hey, but Nick, I didn't say that his best strength was touch on the ball. I said he throws a really nice deep ball, is what I said.
But he does have good touch.
Trey Lance. Trey Lance's short game is terrible, but he throws a really nice deep ball, dude.
Medium and long.
I watched Trey Lance throw some really nice deep balls.
I've seen him throw some dimes, medium and long. Short, he's about average-ish. The problem with timing routes is, he got burned on timing routes under Getsy more than a few times. So I think he's a little, he'll bullet it when he doesn't have to now. I think that hopefully he breaks out of that. But this is just more that, having this discussion here should just show you more of why the Bears need to keep Fields and stop the Caleb talk. Because what's Caleb going to offer you across the board? Like you're going to grow exponentially with Fields right now, being able to add more weapons by getting more draft capital with trade backs and everything else. Fields needs weapons, and Fields hasn't had the weapons. He had 2 receivers with a grade above 100 last year. That's it. Everyone else was like 50, 60. Cole Kmet, DJ Moore were the only ones with good grades last year. Everyone else below average grades because they drop it. They can't catch 50-50 balls. They can't get open on routes. They don't block. So I
But
think
I also think, Ken, that adding that much talent around Justin Fields, it leaves him no excuses. Like if he doesn't come out and make the playoffs this year with Marvin Harrison and a guy like Worthy, like you have to get rid of him, dude.
Unless you win, if you win 11 games and miss the playoffs, which we've seen happen, he's probably okay. I think win total has to go with part of that too. Like if he wins 10 or 11 games this year, which normally would be playoff-esque, 10 or 11 games you normally would get in, and they failed to get in because 10 or 11 just isn't enough this year, I think he's safe. But the cool thing is, though, about all this, Joe, if let's say this happens like we're talking, the Bears are able to trade back out of 1 to 2 or 3, get Marvin Harrison. They trade back out of 9 and get the young wide receiver or another O-line. And he doesn't work out, you got 3 first-round picks to get a new quarterback next year.
Yeah, but next year's quarterback class is really not looked at as being particularly strong.
They said that. They said that last year about this year. Last year they said the same thing. Oh, next year's quarter. I remember us saying on the show, yeah, next year's quarterback class is supposed to be pretty weak. Now it's all generational. Trust me, every year is going to be a generational quarterback. Every year. That's just what they do now. They think we forget, and you know what? We usually do. But last year we were told that this year's quarterback class was not going to be that good. That's why you had to get Bryce Young now. Hey, Rob made it.
Holy shit.
Morning, Rob. Welcome
you guys
to
been
Facebook
live?
Hell.
You guys been live?
Yeah.
Facebook wouldn't let us get in.
Yeah, we've been live on Facebook the whole time. We haven't been able to get the messenger to send the link, so on. But we went to, it's posted. So, but yeah, I mean, I think if your polls, you just give yourself more options on the Justin route than the Caleb route. You don't lock yourself in. If you go Caleb and you can't trade out of 1, you gain no capital. And that means now at 9, you have to use 9 to get a weapon like Browers or Dunez. You can't trade back. So you're the only draft capital you're picking up is whatever you get for Fields, be it a second rounder, a third rounder, whatever the hell it is. That's your only capital, and you have no capital for the future. If you go with Fields, you can get capital for the future based on that. If you can trade out, get someone to pay for you to take Marvin Harrison at 2 or 3, and because you might be able to also trade out again at 9 and pick up more capital. So for polls, I think it comes down to this with Caleb and Fields, right? And none of us know the answer. None of us can speak to this because, only polls can. And that's the great mystery. If polls feels that Caleb is such an elite talent that everyone on the planet would be stupid for passing on him, and he is going to be the best quarterback since Mahomes, Brady, Montana, or any of those guys, and he's going to win these multiple rings, right? If he feels that that's what Caleb is, then he takes Caleb. But if he says, Caleb versus Fields, it's 50-50, he sticks with Fields. Why? Because he can get all the draft capital, like we just said. He has to believe that Caleb Williams is so far beyond Fields that it makes 0 sense to keep Fields and not to go with Caleb. That's the only way I think he does it, because if he can still play with the Fields is my guy thing next year. But by the way, I've got 3 first-round picks to now address it.
But there's a risk with that, though, which you have to realize, if Poles passes on Caleb goes to another team and he looks like the guy that people are saying that he is, Poles is getting fired, dude.
He's gonna get fired.
Not if Fields plays well, he doesn't.
Okay. If Fields also plays well and the Bears make the playoffs, then the talk will be a little less. But there's still going to be talk. If Caleb looks anything like he's supposed to, there's going to be talk.
But look, you can't. He's not playing the what if game because he could also say, well, if I trade Fields and Fields goes off and has an MVP, wins the MVP next year, goes off, has a big season. Hold on, Rob. He goes off, has a big season. and Caleb's a bust and we don't make the playoffs, he could also get fired.
That's
So
true.
the what if game is not a reason for him to make the deal.
All right, so let me ask you this: would you rather? You guys want to go back to you guys should have drafted Mahomes instead of Trubisky because you remember how that went.
I don't care about
just
that.
saying because you're going to hear that again. You guys stuck with Fields.
That's not a reason for me to make a draft pick. I don't care. That's such a bullshit argument. Anyways, everyone in that Trubisky Mahomes draft, dude, Mahomes was listed as the third best quarterback in that draft. Everyone got it wrong. A lot of people passed on Mahomes, not just the Bears. So Packer fans, you can make that argument all you want. You know what? It doesn't mean shit. That's just, well, you could have. Yeah, well, you could have won a bunch of rings in 30 years with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but you didn't.
Yeah,
So
but you didn't do nothing in that same fucking time either, man. You didn't do shit in that same time. You guys were actually in the basement the whole time.
Joe,
basement,
Joe,
Joe.
you see how defensive he gets on that?
Super Bowls.
Hey, Joe, you see how
two played in 3.
Look how
like winning Super Bowls is a bad thing.
Now you guys understand. Now you guys understand why that what if argument doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
I'm talking about from a realistic standpoint. Like Poles has the advantage right now. Poles has the advantage right now of Justin Fields isn't necessarily the guy that he drafted, so he has no real attachment to him. He could get rid of him, and whereas if he drafts Caleb, now that's his guy, right? So he's tied to Caleb. However, if Caleb, like I said, if Caleb goes off for another team, like there's going to be questions asked by management, by ownership. They're going to be like, "Hey, dude, you passed on Caleb, and
it's not just going to be Poles. Warren's in on this too. Warren is in on this. It's not all Poles. It's going to be Warren, Poles, Eberflus.
These kind of decisions either make or break a GM.
They can, but he's not going to draft based off what if fear.
No,
he's not going to draft.
I'm not saying he should, but I'm saying
if Caleb goes off and Fields doesn't, and the Bears win 7 games to miss the playoffs, then Eberflus is gone. Poles probably won't be gone because the GM tends to get a little more leeway because he can fire the head coach and get one more head coach. That's usually what they do. But I think overall they're happy with Poles for everything else he's done. So, yeah, I mean, I just think like if he passes on Caleb and keeps Fields and can trade back from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 and then trade back from 9 and give himself capital, he can add more weapons to this team. And if Fields doesn't work out, then guess what? He can just do it. He just draft whatever the next generational quarterback is next year.
Yeah, and he has the advantage of saying, like, look, like I didn't take Caleb, but I put us in this great position with draft. I do agree with you that I think Poles has done a pretty good job considering when he got there, Chicago had like cap issues. They had all kind of different, issues, and they managed to shed a lot of, the crappy contracts. Now they have draft capital. They're in a great position to pick up more draft capital. Like he has them as far as financially and draft capital wise, he has them going in the right direction. So I definitely think that the Bears ownership should be happy with that aspect of it.
I disagree. I disagree with one thing though. I think Poles, if he selects Caleb, right, and Caleb actually flops, doesn't become the quarterback he is, that actually doesn't get any negative reflection to Poles because Poles was asked by the consensus to draft Caleb, right? Yeah. So it doesn't fall. Poles doesn't fall on the sword if Caleb becomes a bust because that was the consensus pick,
Yeah,
so
I agree with Isaac. He'd probably get a little. He would get a little leeway that way.
Yeah, and from Ken's perspective, it's like, let's say if he does take Caleb and Caleb busts, right? Like, then what's the talk going to be? Well, you could have kept Fields and you could have loaded the offense with talent. They're always going to hit you with the other scenario, right? Yeah. Like, so people get shit for.
Hey guys. I hate to cut you off. We're up on the hour. Let's table this discussion for tomorrow. We're going to be talking Fields, Caleb probably for a couple weeks unless some kind of trade happens. For everyone on Facebook, I'm happy you finally logged in to the great day of Facebook hell. For all of you on YouTube, thank you for being with us from the beginning. We will be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. For everyone on the panel, for my brother Ken, we'll see you tomorrow.
He has time. He's got him. Side touch is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
We're going to take the North and never